I'm arresting you
Yeah.
on suspicion of the rape and murder of Louisa Dunne.
One of the UK's oldest cold case murders has been solved, and this 92-year-old man has been revealed as the killer nearly 6 decades later. This is the story of Louisa Dunne and how police finally found her killer.
Did you use those items to strangle Louisa?
No, probably.
In 1967, the 75-year-old pensioner was raped and murdered in her house in Bristol, a case many considered unsolvable until now. We've been speaking to those who remember her, like this former neighbour whose mum found Louisa's body.
They got the door open and Mum went in, found her dead.
She was on the floor of her front room. She'd been strangled. Her underwear was around her ankles. One vital piece of evidence, a palm print left on a window at the back of Louisa's house, triggered a huge manhunt. Police interviewed 8,000 people and checked more than 19,000 palm prints, starting with every male aged between 14 and 60 in the eastern area where Louisa lived. An investigation that widened all the way to Canada. Dirk Aldous worked on the case at the time.
Had quite an effect, I think, on Bristol. There was a deep concern about it. It was a nasty sort of murder in a way.
But the killer slipped the net until almost 6 decades later, when this man, Ryland Headley, was finally convicted. Justice for Louisa's family. Her granddaughter remembers the moment she was contacted by police.
She said, "We have a suspect." So I sat there completely stunned.
So how, after nearly 60 years, did police finally track him down? The case was deep in the archive until a cold case team decided to look at it again. They ran forensic tests on the skirt Louisa Dunne wore that day for the first time and found traces of semen, enough to get a full DNA profile.
And that's when I first heard the name Ryland Headley. It just makes me go cold.
And when you found out he was alive?
Game on.
While Headley had seemingly gotten away with raping and killing Louisa Dunne in the 60s, he had been jailed for raping 2 elderly women in the 1970s and sentenced to life in prison. But he appealed that sentence, claiming it was excessive for a man with a previous clean record. Having managed to keep his murder of Louisa Dunne a secret, Headley had his sentence reduced to 7 years. But after a run-in with the police in 2012, his DNA went on the national database. His fingerprints too, but crucially not his palm prints. He claimed arthritis in his wrists meant his hands weren't flexible enough to give the prints. So when the police put the DNA profile from Louisa's skirt on the system last year, Headley's name came up, and when they finally got his palm print, it matched the one from the murder in 1967. Escaping justice for almost 2/3 of his life, he's finally been caught. But at 92, what else might this murderer and serial rapist have hidden? The police say their work isn't done, but the question of who murdered Louisa Dunne has finally been answered.